The hour of death. Bill never thought that he will have to face the same trouble he has been treating people with for the past 9 years, but he should have known better. A man so much given to physical exercises and healthy eating habits, he believed that he had his health under control. Moreover, he was a medical doctor. So that fateful night when he returned from the hospital and tried taking the stairs to his bedroom, the stabbing pain all over his body as he walked up the stairs signaled him that something was wrong with him. It started with the indigestion he felt earlier at work, not like he could even remember what he had for lunch that day. There were so many patients to see. Then he conducted a minor surgery on a young boy who had complications with his mitral valves. Because of this, he skipped lunch without even noticing. When he started feeling very full, as though he had eaten a big meal, with the indigestion setting in and the sensation of a very large piece of rock sitting on his chest, he assured himself it was nothing to fear about. Everything inside of his ribs started to tighten, and he grew short of breath, but he decided that he was going to see all of his patients before retiring for the day. It wasn't until he started having pain in his right shoulder and arm, followed with pain on the neck and then up to his jaw, that he agreed that something was seriously wrong. But even then, he didn't say anything to anyone. Being a medical doctor, he didn't think he should make a big deal of this. Billy, as his friends loved to call him, was typically a man of the people. People who knew him in the medical school can attest to the fact that he lived for others. He was generous. He was always willing to part with his last dollar if it will help someone or if he was asked for it. He always ascribed his generosity to his faith that God will provide. Always. Above all, he was a man of prayer and intimate communion with God. Bill has witnessed people who have had heart attacks nearly every day for almost a decade now. He knew the symptoms, what they looked like, and what his patient told him they felt like. He also knew that it was one step away from death. But when he started experiencing the same sensations, he decided that before he would call for help or dial 911, he would have to talk to God about it. As he knelt down to pray, he began to feel sweat and feverish. Then the pain kept building up. At this point, he had no longer felt that his heart was being squished. Now it felt as though he was being crushed. The pain traveled to his shoulders and arms, and all the way to his jaw from his back. He needed nobody to tell him that he was having a heart attack. Lord, today is not a good day to die. Please have mercy on my soul. He started to pray despite the intense pain that was raking his whole body. His sister, Betty, was in the kitchen trying to set up dinner for both of them. She saw his car drive into the garage from the kitchen window. So she was surprised when she didn't hear or see him come up to greet her there. She decided to call out to him. When she didn't hear any response, she decided to go upstairs to check. In the bedroom, she saw him on his knees, with his head resting on the bed where he knelt. Even though his eyes were shut and his face was hidden from her, she could tell from his groaning that he was in pain. She quickly noticed that his right hand was also clutching to his heart. She entered into a panic mode. Bill, are you okay? No response. Can you hear me? Without hesitating, she called 911. Several minutes later, the ambulance arrived and he was taken to the hospital where he worked. Over the years, Bill has been religious about his every 6-month checkup with the cardiologist and have constantly taken his medication without fail. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, he will later say after he recovered from coma 2 days later. Dr. Bill was on the call almost every day of the week, often under some horrific circumstances. Aside being a trained cardiologist, he had to be on the ground to always respond to emergencies in the lone hospital in his town, the western suburb of New York. But despite being so busy, he's never found wanting when it comes to prayer. He will pray when he gets to his office before he started attending to patients. Then he will pray for the patients who come in with different ailments and conditions. He believed that even without surgical operations and drugs, his patients can get well. Most of them, though, never had that feat. We can only treat you, but it is God who performs the miracle of healing, he will always tell his patients. Smiling was the second nature to Bill. He always had this inner joy that always found expression on his face. And the way he addressed other staff and patients who came around bears testament to the fact. All who got to meet him will always talk about how comfortable he made them feel when they came to see him in the hospital. Bill dedicated his life to practical medicine. It is my ministry, he always said. The hospital is my pulpit. God has given me deft fingers for surgical operations and a sound mind for accurate diagnosis. Each time I am here, I feel God's presence. A week after he returned home after the incident of the heart attack, he was having a conversation with his sister Betty. They had just had breakfast. Did you fear you were going to die when you had the heart attack? Betty's question came out of the blues. He wasn't expecting it. After a brief moment of thought, he replied her, "Death is certain for every one of us. I do not fear it. It is God's vehicle for taking us home. I only fear that I will not be prepared when it comes." That incident only reminded me of the fact that the hour of death is uncertain. It can happen to even those who look healthy, or those who seem to have solution of the problem of sicknesses. Betty was moved by that answer. At that moment, it dawned on her that she would never really be prepared for death. Even though she went to church every Sunday, she wasn't sure that death would take her home when it comes. In her heart, she silently prayed that God will help her to be prepared for the hour of death.